This is KUGAN CASSIUS for Eiffel TV in association with Macklin's Gym Marbella. We're in London here with George Groves for a Far Cry 4 photo shoot.
Yeah.
Bit of a model these days as well, aren't you? Adding to your array of talents.
Yeah, well, they spend a lot of money on post-production and editing and photoshopping, so kind of wrong really.
Yeah. Did you think you'd be a model when you was growing up as a boxer?
No. I knew I was, to be honest. Sometimes you believe, but now I know. No, I'm joking. It's alright.
You fit a market though, because there was a big cry for red-headed models.
There's a Far Cry. There's a Far Cry 4 for red-headed models. It's all good.
Works well. Anyway, back to your day job. You've recently vacated the EBU title.
Yeah, I didn't want to. There was a mandatory obligation and a few other bits and pieces, and obviously we set our stalls out on the WBC route, and they kind of clashed. But there's a contract in place that for whatever reason, if things get delayed with WBC, I'll fight for I'll be fighting for the European title again. I'm not sure exactly whether I'll be champion or challenger, but it doesn't matter.
Okay. Do you need to fight for it again?
Well, it really would be a defence. I'll go straight in for a European title fight. This is my point. If the WBC situation seems to take a little bit longer, but we don't envision that at all. That's why we have vacated. It was a quick to and fro emails in between this training camp that I wanted to read, to be honest, and then I had a few tweets saying you vacated, and I didn't really pay much attention to those either, and they brought it up and I have to say something, and it's the boys in the office to look after that.
Okay. Originally we thought that you were going to be fighting in December on a show. You've been added to the Cleverly Belly undercard pay-per-view show in Liverpool. So what was the decision and reason behind that?
We was asked to box on this card. We said yeah, alright, might as well. I get December off.
Yeah. Month of Christmas.
Yeah.
On ringside there was this little sort of dig at terms of DeGALE, but it's chief support thing. Who is actually chief support on this bill? Is it you, or is it DeGALE, or is it as Eddie Hearn says, Joshua?
Yeah, Eddie ain't gonna do me no favours because I'm not a matchroom fighter. I wouldn't expect him to. I was told I was chief support. DeGALE is adamant that he's chief support. Joshua's chief support. I think there's going to be a load of co-chief support builds. But really, what you got to do is you got to think, well, who are people coming to see, and let's look at the running order of the show. So whoever really boxes before the main event is usually the chief support. So if I'm first on the card, then I'm not chief support. I'll box, have a drink, and start Christmas early. If not, then I'll wait until the fight just before the main event, and then I'll go out as chief support. But we'll wait and see.
Dennis DOUGLIN, Mama's boy, trained by his old dear.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. Obviously, we know that you're mandatory for a world title, so you weren't ever going to go into a risky fight where like a 50-50 sort of thing. But a good opponent for you for the 22nd?
Very good opponent. I mean, let's get it straight. It's a fight that for me is a fight that I want to carry on the momentum of my last fight in September. So I felt I boxed very well. I'd like one more fight before challenging for WBC. We looked at the opponents that are out there. If we could choose, we would like to choose an American because obviously we want to raise the profile out in the States or keep it going. There's a handful of fighters out there. I fancied fighting a southpaw, because you never know when you're going to fight a southpaw. I fancied fighting a mama's boy, because you never know when you're going to fight a mama's boy. So he fitted the bill, down the line it could pay dividends that I've had this experience this early. So I always do well against southpaws, never lost one. So I'm very confident that I'll get the result in the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, of course, on paper he's not my toughest challenge I've had, but at the same time he's very good and he's there, and I've got to go out and perform. And he's fighting Chris Eubank Jr. apparently, obviously Southpaw. He's fighting Billy Joe Saunders, trains out of the Mayweather gym in Vegas, so he's around good people, and yeah, it'll be a tough fight.
Touch, would you come through the test, the challenge on the 22nd? How confident that you can get this ball rolling in the new year with a fight with DeGALE?
Well, we got a few Cal's already had a few meetings to see where we're at with this. Spoke to a few of the US TV networks, tried to make contact with DeGALE's people. We haven't been too on. I haven't pushed them that hard to find out what that situation is, because I've gone into camp for this fight. But we know there's a purse bid if things can't get agreed. So that purse bid's in the middle of December in Vegas. So any excuse, we'll be out there for that. And it's at the WBC convention. And if we can't agree terms before then the purse bid go in. And obviously we're looking to win that purse bid and set up a fight. You know, I'd imagine around March time, New Year. So you know, it's not a clear-cut path, you know, that's on the horizon, but certainly the business plan's in place. So we're looking to plough on as soon as possible. Just say get this fight done, some more rounds banked, and then full focus goes on DeGALE.
Since your win over Brass, you've mentioned a few times that you believe that people would want to see a trilogy fight between you and Carl Froch. Is that realistic at all, though?
Well, people are always going to ask me about Carl Froch, and I'm always going to answer. I'm probably changing my answer because I have no reason to. He talks about 2-0, but we talk about the first fight being a fast, should have been a mile ahead on points, and it wasn't. The referee stopped it way too early, that's why the rematch happened. Second fight, we felt was in full control. I felt I was in control, winning the fight, and it was a punch from nowhere, from nothing. By Froch's account, the best punch he's ever thrown. He wants to sit back now and say, oh, it's 2-0, I don't want to fight Groves again, I don't want to fight DeGALE, there's only one fight out there for me, it's got to be in Vegas, it's got to be against Chavez, and I just want to shine a little spotlight on that, because you know everyone seems to be taking it on the chin as a formality, like when just before he boxed me, he said he never ducks a mandatory, and now he's ducking James DeGALE because he's worthless. Like, fair enough. He wants to go to Vegas but doesn't want to box any other American apart from Chavez, who's a middleweight with no title. So, you know, again, why is there no spotlight put on that, Carl? And for a man who wants to dine out and say, oh, I'll fight anyone in the world and I've had more back-to-back wars than anyone else, fair play. You know, you sign up for the Super 6, that's what happened. You came out of the Super 6 in a situation where you had to fight for a world title. You did. Then you chose an easy fight against Yusuf Mag, then you chose a rematch that sold well, and then you was in 2 fights with me that you didn't want. The first one you shouldn't have won, and the second one you probably came out thinking, I've got away with something special there. They say, is there legs for a third fight? Of course there is. Of course there is, because the last fight was the biggest fight in British boxing history, and Carl Froch still hates me. If he was 2-0, well, then if that was me, I'd be satisfied with it. I wouldn't be going to ringside, to watch my next fight against Rabras, commentating or being a pundit. Apart from the fact he wants to check up on me and then try and give me a bit of stick at the end. The man still hates me, and that's fair enough, but with that in mind, it makes me think that there's still room there for another fight. And this YouTube video, the caption will be, Groves says this about Froch, and then everyone will skip the first 6 minutes or whatever.
It'll just be Froch, Groves on Froch.
Yeah, so, and that'll be the headline, and that'll be everyone, oh, let's just move on, stop crying about Carl. The truth is that obviously I want to become world champion. I'm not chasing Carl Froch, I'm chasing a world title. My world title is a WBC, it's got nothing to do with Carl Froch. They're talking about a unification in the summer. Will it take the Froch? Of course it will, because he'll make a lot of money. Sky will be pushing harder than anyone else for it because they'll make a lot of money. Obviously, I'd like it because I want to reverse the last fight, and I want to be part of history again. But in the meantime, we're concentrating on WBC. I've got plenty of decent fighters in my division and plenty of big personalities. So.
Just finally, you and James DeGALE were on ringside for the first time since that great episode 3 years ago, and doesn't really look like a lot of change between the two of you, but you're both mandatory for world titles. This is possibly setting itself up for something special next year.
Yeah, I think we can both keep winning. Paths will, of course, cross again. We're both not fighting each other, which is important in boxing. Since I beat him, he sort of decided to carve out a different route, which I respect, because that's what I'm trying to do. Didn't pay off for him. He went to Channel 5 hoping that his profile would raise. It didn't. He didn't get the fights that stimulated him, and ultimately had terrible performances. But kept winning. Got into a mandatory position where he had to fight Gonzalez in the last show and performed well. So well, hopefully he can perform well against Perivan, because again, this is a fight without the carrot at the end. So they're usually the ones where he underperforms. If I was James, I would have been thinking, or I'm sure he's been advised, that win this fight and you fight the winner of me and Froch. Froch won. Froch says, actually, nah, anti-boxing. They both got the same promoter, so if James is leaning on Eddie Hearn to say, well, what's happening, Eddie's got to then turn around and say, actually, we're number 2, possibly number 3 in my super middleweight pecking order. So I'll wait and see what Carl wants to do, and then when that time comes, then I'll give you a call. But say he's in line to fight for a world title. I'm sure he'll end up fighting for a Baker world title on someone's undercard somewhere, and then it sets up a real fight for him to be against me.
Alright, I'm on a little bit of a time restriction today, so we're going to have to really let you go.
Alright. Yeah.
We'll just finish off by saying Far Cry 4, go out and buy it.
Far Cry 4, go out and buy it. It's awesome. It is really awesome. Like even even the gamers who ain't gamers, people just casual gamers, like you watch it, it's like being part of a movie now, isn't it? It's like Hollywood production. It's incredible. Far Cry 4.
Go and get it.
Excellent.
Alright, George, thanks for talking to IFL TV, and good luck. I'll probably see you next week actually as well.
Yeah, well.
Got to work out next week, I think.
I've got a media lunch.
On Thursday.
It's better, isn't it? Go, have a beer, steak.
I think I'm in Dublin.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Listen up now, we have Guinness then. It would be better.
Possibly. I'll have one for you.
Alright,
George Groves, thanks for talking to IFL TV, and we'll catch up with you next week. KUGAN CASSIUS, George Groves here for IFL TV. Thank you very much.